What's up, guys, and welcome to another episode of the Hyperface podcast. I'm your host today, Tarek, and I'm joined with
Kiriti.
Nice. Today, we're going to walk you through triathlons and endurance training. Let's go. So, the keys to endurance training. The main idea for endurance training is just to really push your body to the limits. It's not like hypertrophy where we're trying to maximize muscle gain. It's not like shredding where we're trying to lose fat or weight, right? And it's not like powerlifting where you want to lift as much weight as possible. Now, endurance training is somewhat, taxing on the body. And the simple way of really putting your endurance to the test is to go through what is called a triathlon. So triathlon comes from, the root of tri, and there's three components to it, which would be the first component would be swimming, second one would be biking, and the third one would be running. Right?
Are you ordering at the correct order?
Absolutely. Okay. It's always swim, bike, run.
Why is it like that?
Back in the day, there was we can put in the sources, but there was a challenge between a swimmer and a biker as to who was more fit an athlete, and so they had that challenge. The biker actually won, although the swimmer was ahead, and then eventually the biker. Anyways, so there are two kinds of triathlons. The sprint, which is basically the introduction, is going to be 750 meters of swimming, and then 20 kilometers of biking, and then 5-kilometer run. And then there's the Olympic triathlon, which is just twice as much. So 1.5 kilometers swim, 40-kilometer bike, 10K run. You do these back to back, right? And so it could be very challenging and daunting for someone who doesn't or has never tried, right? My initial advice is if you are going to sign up or start with a triathlon, always look into triathlons that are going to have a pool component involved, not open waters. Open waters is much more challenging, and although the swimming distance-wise is the least, it's the most grueling part of the triathlon.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. When you compare this all kind of a training, your diet is very much essential, I believe so. And in the food, when you talk about these kind of activities, a lot of energy is involved. So make sure your carbs are up to the mark, man. Make sure it's up to 50% of your diet consists of carbs, 30% is protein, and 20% is your fats for your macros. For an example, if you take 200 lbs, 250 grams of carbs, 150 grams of protein, and the remaining rest you can 45 grams of give it to the fats, which is like approximately equal to like 2000 calories you need to mention. But for the important note, make sure you keep your body hydrated, and how you need to find it out as your body is hydrated is that make sure your pee is always into lighter colors, so that's the primary key for the dehydration part.
That's fair. I think hydration is also important on your race day, right? Right, and that's something that while you're racing, prior to racing, make sure you do not have high sodium intake, have high salty food, because that causes water retention, and that cause you to dehydrate.
So what about then creatine?
Creatine is not really, it's not like pre-workout where you take it and it has an instantaneous effect. Creatine works over a longer period of time, so I don't think creatine would necessarily have a direct impact. It's not like having salt. Salt, sucks in. Creatine takes in water to push it into your muscles, and that's like over a longer period of time. Not really as much of a detriment as to sodium.
Why I asked you is because many times it is a big conversation, especially in the fat loss diet. People try to doesn't want to be bloated or water to be retained, and make sure that they always compare with the creatine. Is even creatine is the part where you hold the muscle water into your muscle, so which is not technically true, right? So which is not effective to your fat loss thing.
The thing about it, creatine with fat loss is always a controversial topic, but that could be a topic for another day.
Yes.
Although creatine can cause bloating, which is why people don't like to take it while they're on a fat loss, right? You're not necessarily trying to maximize strength or muscle gain.
If our audience want to know about this controversial topic, we're gonna make a new video for that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So how do you get started training for your first triathlon? First step is very easy. There are multiple websites. I think active.com has and lists multiple triathlons across North America. You can just Google triathlon near me, and you can sign up for the triathlon. The first step to hold you consistent is going with a friend or going with a group. Sign up, right? You can sign up alone, it's fine as well, but sign up for a race, because if you don't really have a deadline, you're not really gonna train seriously. And ideally you should know how to swim. Again, biking, it's a little easier, right? Running is self-explanatory. If I don't know anyone who doesn't know how to run, right? So the training schedule will not necessarily, you could be incorporating a bit of core. However, the idea is just as simple as it says. You dedicate your weekdays, 3 days out of the weekdays, you do 1 day of running, 1 day of swimming, 1 day of biking, right? On the weekends, you do combinations. And then you build up to, you build up your threshold. So you build up, for example, the first week, you're doing 30-minute swimming, right? Just try to measure your pace. You don't have to aim for 500 meters. You need to just build your stamina. So if you can do 200 meters in 30 minutes, cool. And then try for that next week, 30 minutes, go for 1 kilometer, for example. I mean, obviously that jump is a big one, but try to improve, and you'd realize week on week, you'd have, massive improvements on either fatigue or on distance. So the same with swimming, biking, and running. Swim, bike, run. On weekends, do combinations. Go for a swim and then go for a bike. Like do a half-hour swim, half-hour bike.
Like a superset.
Yeah, obviously not in the middle.
Not in middle.
Yeah,
yes,
because when you're in a triathlon, you're going to be testing swim, bike, run, right? Swim, bike, run, and so you can build the first. Again, ideally, you do this over 12 weeks. So the first 2 months, you'd be just doing both. The third month, you want to test out, how far or how much you can do, a half sprint, right? So do maybe 250-meter swim, 10-kilometer bike, 2.5 kilometer run. See how that feels, see how your body reacts to that, and then build up your way. You can do it, if you have the time, do a swim in the morning and then do a run and bike and run, in the afternoon. Kind of get your endurance built up, and
step by step,
that's about it.
Yeah.
It's pretty simple. I'll be leaving a link in the description for a guide, a quick table on a 12-week progression for your first triathlon. For people who are more beginner, I'm not going to put really a distance. I want everyone to measure their own distance, but if you're aiming for a sprint, 12 weeks is much more than enough. You could probably do an Olympic if you're, with any level of fitness, you can go for an Olympic triathlon in 12 weeks. So do tag us in the comments. We'd love to see your pictures if you're going to be signing up for a triathlon. And if it's in the area, we might be joining you.
Not me. All right, guys. May I stick to the podcast channel and make sure you subscribe to the channel. If you have any comments, please do leave down. We will be happy to help you out with those things.
Absolutely.
And take care.
Yes, I did.